What is up, guys? So Sports back again with another What's Next. And in today's What's Next, we're going to be discussing the Utah Jazz. Now, the Utah Jazz have been a staple in the NBA for quite a time. If you think about their 90s days when they had John Stockton and Karl Malone, one of the best 1-2 duos in NBA history. Their problem was they could never put it all together and win a ring, And if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, they would have numerous rings by now. I mean, talk about those guys. John Stockton, a prolific passer. Sure, he's in the Hall of Fame now. He was a great defender too, and he's super durable. I believe he only missed around 18 games in his entire NBA career, which is super good to see. And then Karl Malone, Hall of Fame power forward, MVP. I think he's the third highest scoring player of all time. A great scorer. He also was durable, played a lot. I think he played into his late 30s, which you'd love to see. Tried to ring chase at the end of his career, I guess you could say. Failed at that, but still was a great player. And I do believe if he was healthy for that Pistons series and the Pistons versus Lakers, the Lakers more than likely would have won. But moving on now, talking about the Jazz, as I said, they've been a staple for a long time. The 90s, like I just said, 2000s when they had AK-47, and the 2010s with the Gordon Hayward era, great, have always constantly make the playoffs. But recently with Gordon Hayward leaving for Boston, you thought maybe that streak, well, not streak because they had missed the playoffs a little bit, but that type of how they were a staple in the playoffs will probably come to an end. But nope, in the same exact draft, the same year, same offseason where they had lost Gordon Hayward, they had gained Donovan Mitchell. And what a pick for them with the 13th pick. The 13th pick always seems to give out amazing shooting guards. I mean, talking about other shooting guards that were there at 13th. Zach LaVine, I believe, was 13th overall pick. Devin Booker, and then Donovan Mitchell. Three great shooting guards who can all score the ball and play make very well for their respective teams. Amazing. That is amazing. But looking into it, the problem now is they haven't really been able to surround Devin Booker with the point guard that he needs. They've tried with Ricky Rubio, but obviously that hasn't worked out. They've been a staple in the playoffs, but I mean, recently they've been like the 4th, 5th, 6th seed. I think they definitely want to get to that 4th, 3rd, 2nd seed. So let's just talk about it. Highlighting some key players for them, Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, we just talked about him. A prolific scorer, can do it all. Is everything for that offense. Offensively, the offense flows through him. And coming in as someone, the 13th pick, first off, very young, was already thrown into the water at a very young age. Some guys potentially take some time to groom, but I mean, what he's been able to do in his first 2 NBA seasons is amazing. And the criticism that he potentially got at the start of the season when he started off the season kind of poor, that wasn't warranted, because I mean, his second season, people in their second season aren't given this much luxury. They aren't given this much freedom to do whatever they want, which he has been given. But that's just what you do when you're a star player. And Donovan Mitchell, I believe, if he isn't a star player now, he will 100% be a star player in the future. But highlighting some other key players, Rudy Gobert, a multi-time defensive player of the year, a great NBA center. Is he a top 5? Most definitely. I think it goes probably Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, probably Karl-Anthony Towns, and then him. I believe his only slouch that you can say is his offensive game. He lives and dies in the post. That's just what he is. And he can potentially be a problem for you in the playoffs when teams go small ball, when they stretch the ball out, stretch the floor, take him out of the paint. He isn't as effective as he is in the paint. So that could potentially be a problem. Looking at their other key players, Dante Exum, thought that would be a great pick for them. Didn't really live up to the hype. He had injury problems, but hopefully he can fix that. Grayson Allen was he a lot? I think he was just out of the lottery pick for them. Oh yeah, he wasn't just out of the lottery pick. 4-year player. Spent some time in the G League, but in his final game of the season, he went off. I think he had 35 points per game, or something crazy like that. So that was great for them. Royce O'Neal is someone who gave them good minutes as a small forward in the regular season and somewhat in the playoffs too. Looking at Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is a great shooter for this guy. Kind of came on a little bit when Donovan Mitchell came on. He's a great playmaker for someone of his size too, a small forward. As I said earlier, great shooter, can do it all, and he's on sort of like a team-friendly deal. He averaged around 6 assists this year, shot the ball efficiently, like a do it all, type of guy. It's just exactly what I see. But I mean, yeah, they have other guys on the team like Jay Crowder, who's a great 3-and-D guy, and Ricky Rubio, but he's a free agent. But let's talk about that now. Free agency and what I want them to do. Now, this isn't a modern day lineup. I think the lineup they ran out multiple times last year was Ricky Rubio at the 1, Donovan Mitchell at the 2, Joe Ingles at the 3, then Derek Favors at the 4, and Rudy Gobert at the 5. Or maybe they even do Jay Crowder at the 4 and Ricky Rubio at the 5. That's what they've been trying to do. Find that power forward, that's 3-and-D guy at the 4 to space the floor out and help Rudy Gobert more. Because when you have an offense with Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert, both guys who cannot shoot the ball at all, it's difficult to create. And just 3 free agents that I really want them to eye and key and hopefully go for are Paul Millsap, Nikola Mirotic, and Tobias Harris. Now let's talk about it. Tobias Harris, talked about him in multiple times in my What's Next videos for multiple teams. He's just a great 3-point threat. He's a great floor spacer. He's the guy who can give you 20 points per game with ease. Also a good rebounder for his size. I mean, I've just said it multiple times, so you guys know who Tobias Harris is. I think he'll be an amazing fit with this team. Talk about the pick and pop with him and Donovan Mitchell would be so amazing. The pick and roll potentially too. It would give the Jazz a potential second star-ish, because I don't know if Rudy Gobert is a star. I think he's a great NBA player, but I don't know if he's a star. So I don't even know if Tobias Harris is a star, actually, now that I talk about it. But he might cost too much. And if you want to look at someone who won't cost as much as Tobias Harris, Nikola Mirotic. Nikola Mirotic is the same thing, just to a lesser extent. He cannot give you the same scoring, but another great 3-point threat who can help space the floor out a lot. You know, he worked out very well in Milwaukee, spacing the floor out for Giannis Antetokounmpo and letting Giannis go to work. He was great in New Orleans. He had some great games in Chicago. I think he'd be a great addition to this team, and that's probably the number 1 guy that I do want him to go after, just because Tobias, I feel like he would cost too much. And lastly, Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap is those 2 guys that I previously talked about to a lesser extent. He can't really space the floor out as much as they can, but he's the best defender out of the 3, 100%. His problem is he's pretty old. I believe he's 33-ish, 34-ish. His all-star years are probably past him by now. He can definitely give you around 13 to 14-ish points per game, but that's really it. But yeah, if I had them to go after one, definitely Nikola Mirotic, just because, Nikola Mirotic is a great shooter. He won't cost you as much as Tobias Harris will. He'll probably cost you potentially between 5 and 10 mil less, and he's not as old as Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap, I believe, how old is Nikola Mirotic? I believe he's like 26-ish, 27-ish. So, he has at least 5 more years left under his belt if you give him that long extension. He's 28. But still, definitely isn't as old as Paul Millsap is. He'd just be a great addition to this team. Now, that's really all I wanted to say about free agency for them. Just go after a great spacing, a power forward. But now I want to talk about one trade that has been mentioned day in and day out. Trading for Mike Conley with the Jazz. I believe the trade package was Dante Exum, Dante Exum, Derek Favors, and then their 22nd overall pick, I believe it was. So, I mean, yeah, that's definitely a point guard. If they can do those 2 things, trade for Mike Conley and then sign Nikola Mirotic, I think they will probably be a 50-win team. I mean, you talk about Mike Conley will be able to take the load off of Donovan Mitchell, and that will just make Donovan Mitchell better because he won't be the focal point of every team's game plan. The game plan for the team is go at Donovan, stop him, and Donovan has been able to fight through that and still be great, and he would just be even better now if Mike Conley is there. I mean, Mike Conley potentially could take away from his scoring, but efficiently wise, he will just go up so much. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. That's what I do want to see them to do. I think their core of this team is already set. They just need a few more pieces here and there to get better, and I think they will probably do one or the other. I don't know if trading for Mike Conley will hamper their cap space and they won't be able to get a guy like Nikola Mirotic, but still, I feel like if you are the Jazz, you definitely go after Mike Conley more than Nikola Mirotic, because even if even if you strike out on Nikola Mirotic, you still have a guy like Jay Crowder and Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles, who can give you that versatility at the 3 and the 4 spot to space the floor out more. But I mean, yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. You know, the Jazz are in a great position right now. They definitely are. Just trade for Mike Conley. I think that's the #1 priority, and then go after those floor spacing forwards and the free agency, or even in the draft. In the draft, you want to look at a guy like Cameron Johnson to potentially give you great minutes. That's good too. But I mean, yeah, that's really it though. I hope you guys did enjoy. As I said before, please like and sub and share with your friends. But it's So Sports, and I'm out. Peace.